Hi, Mrs. Mendoza. How goes it?
Fine. Come in, Sam.
Thank you. Well, here it is. Oh, looks like you're in for a busy week. Seems like these packages get bigger all the time.
Well, the bigger, the better. You know, monogramming is a good business. It always keeps food on the table, and besides, I love to embroider.
Have you got the finished shirts ready to go back?
Oh, yes, right over there, Sam.
All right, we'll see you next Wednesday then.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Just what do you think you're doing? Are you crazy? Lunch was just delicious, and everybody's been so nice.
Well, I'm glad to see you're so chipper. You were lucky, you know. Could have been a lot worse.
It could have been better. He could have missed me entirely.
You've got a point. But you know, if that bullet had hit your thigh bone, you'd be here about 6 weeks. As it is, you'll be home before you know it, especially with a fine physician like Dr. Metcalf.
Oh, Miss Peters, I couldn't afford to be here for 6 weeks. Thank goodness I earn my living sitting down. When I get home, I can embroider my shirts, even in a wheelchair.
Imagine the nerve of that kid, breaking in broad daylight. Well, I'm just glad the police got him. Oh, that reminds me. Dr. Metcalf said the police would be by tomorrow. They want you to sign a complaint and fill out a report. There you go. Is there anything else you need?
No. Oh, yes. Would you get me the Bible from the table there?
Oh, of course.
Dr. Mason, Dr. Jeff Mason, please report to emergency.
I don't know you, do I? Who are you? What do you want?
I wouldn't do that if I was you. You know my brother. He's in jail because of you. But you know something else? He's not gonna be in there long because you're not gonna identify him. Do you wanna know why? Because your memory's bad.
Look.
Listen, lady, and listen good. I've taken care of Tomas all his life. If anything happens to my brother, you'll pay.
Dr. Gallagher, Dr. Wes Gallagher.
Oh, Dr. Metcalf. I'm a little concerned about Mrs. Mendoza. She hasn't touched her dinner tray. Her vital signs are okay, but she sure has undergone a complete personality change. She suddenly seems so depressed.
I have a couple of stops to make, but I'll look in on her during rounds. He came here? Why did you wait so long to tell anyone? You're not taking his threats seriously, are you? He knows he can't get away with that. He's bluffing.
He wasn't bluffing. Believe me, Doctor. You don't know how it is with people who are desperate, people who've learned to hate. I do. They have utter contempt for the law. They have a code of honor and violence. Oh, Doctor, I'm all alone in the world. What am I going to do?
I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to tell you. Look, everything's going to be all right. There's always an answer. In the meantime, you're on the right track.
Yes, I am a religious woman. I've been praying all day ever since it happened. But I'm so afraid and confused. Suddenly, these are just words. If there is an answer in here, I don't know what it is. Please, Doctor, you tell me what to do.
Mrs. Mendoza, this is a pretty heavy scene. I don't think one person should tell another.
Weasel words. I don't need to hear weasel words. I need help. I'm all alone in the world. I have no one else to turn to. You've got to help me, Doctor. Please tell me what to do. Should I talk to the police or should I keep silent? Whatever you say, I'll do it. But please, you've got to tell me.
All right, Mrs. Mendoza. You be calm. Try to get some rest. I'll help you, I promise. But I need some time. I have to think about it.
Thank you, I will.
Let me have Mrs. Mendoza's chart, will you?
Oh.
Dr. Andrews, Dr. Stewart Andrews, please report.
Danny, you're a woman.
Oh, so you finally noticed.
Let me play something off you. The Perez kid who shot Mrs. Mendoza, his brother came here today. Laid some heavy threats on her about what would happen to her if she filed a complaint. He wasn't kidding.
Oh, that poor woman. She must be terrified.
But like I said, you're a woman. You can identify. Under the circumstances, what would you do?
Boy, that's a tough one. It's probably not right. But, personally, I keep my mouth shut.
Dr. Mason, Dr. Jeff Mason.
I saw that Perez kid today.
You did.
Of course, then I didn't know who he was. You know, I'm not especially afraid of dying. But it must be awful not to know when or where or even if he'd make his move. Can you imagine what that would be like? Afraid to sleep at night? Driving in your car and not knowing if the headlights behind you were his? I couldn't live like that. And I don't think Mrs. Mendoza can either. I mean, there is just no real protection against a psycho like that.
Maybe that's the point. The only protection is the law.
Oh, big deal. Now, the boys in blue can't be everywhere.
The law is all we have. If we don't use it, then people like Tomas Perez will go free to victimize somebody else.
I feel badly about it. I really do. But Dr. Metcalf, it seems to me that I have an obligation to take care of myself and what is mine first.
But, Penny,
Now look, you asked for my opinion and I gave it to you. I'm no expert. Until it happens to me, how do I know what I'll do?
Dr. Andrews, Dr. Stewart Andrews, please report to X-ray.
Captain Farrell, please.
Metcalf knows as well as I do I can't hold the Perez kid more than 72 hours. He made no sense at all. Jeff, am I keeping you from anything?
No. I'm just working on a devotional talk for the staff.
Well, I figured you'd still be here. Thought as long as I was in the neighborhood, I'd drop in and see what goes.
Well, the patient's stable, as far as I know. Dave must have his reasons. Anyway, he said he'd be right down.
This time, we're gonna nail that kid. I'm gonna see to it. He slipped through our fingers twice before. I'm not gonna let it happen again.
Hello, Captain. I'm sorry about that phone call. This hasn't been one of my better days.
No problem. When do I see Mrs. Mendoza?
I don't know. There have been some developments.
Developments? What kind of developments?
Well, to begin with, Perez's older brother paid a little visit to my patient. Said he'd get her if she talked.
That would be Julio Perez. Another brazen punk. Yeah, we'll pick him up. She'll sign a complaint, won't she?
Who knows? She's scared. She's confused. And she needs time.
We don't have time. Unless we move in a hurry, we're gonna have to release that kid. She's got to testify. She's got to.
And if she testifies, can you guarantee her protection?
Well, if she does sign the complaint, they can pick up Julio Perez. That'll solve one problem, right, Hank?
And he'll be back on the streets within hours.
Mrs. Mendoza will get protection. I'll try to assign a man to her. Well, at least we'll drop in on her twice a day.
Big deal. For how long?
Look, it's her duty. Now, this Thomas Perez is a nut. You get that through your heads. He is a nut. Now, he's already worked over 2 people, not counting your patient. And those are only the ones we know about. Now, Mrs. Mendoza isn't the first. And unless she testifies, she won't be the last. 3 assaults, 3 at least. And she's our only witness.
That's all well and good. But every time I mention that helpless, terrified lady up there, you change the subject.
Dave, the only way we are ever going to beat crime, from the petty stuff to the organized big shots, is for every single individual to face up to intimidation and threats. You, me, whether we're brave or scared, we have got to be willing to put more of ourselves on the line. Now, I'm telling you that our streets out there are like combat zones. And quite simply, it's the good guys against the bad. Now, you're Mrs. Mendoza. You tell her that. I gotta get back. Jeff, Dave, I'll expect to hear from one of you first thing in the morning.
Hank. Can I ask you something? If it were your mother, would you tell her to talk?
You bet I would.
Boy, that Hank. With him, black is black and white is white. There's no middle ground.
Yeah. Well, he's just doing his job, Dave. You know, unless there's a medical reason, we're legally obligated to let him question Mrs. Mendoza. So, what's going on?
Well, I have to admit, I didn't really lay out the whole thing. I'm kind of on a spot. Mrs. Mendoza's scared. She's confused. She left the entire decision up to me as to whether she testifies or not. I can't make a decision like that off the top of my head. I have to think about it. I need time. If it were me, if I had to decide for myself, I could do that.
Come on, Dave. You help patients make decisions every day.
Medical, not moral. And you're right. Decisions are usually easy for me to make. Somehow, though, this time, I can't come up with a solution.
Oh, it's 9:30. The doctor said that you could have some medication to help you sleep.
No, please, dear, not yet. I have a lot of thinking to do.
Well, when you're ready, huh?
Penny, Have you ever been afraid?
Yes.
I found something in the Bible that I've been thinking about. It's in 2 Timothy chapter 1. Would you read it to me, please? It's open to it. Verse 7.
For God hath not given us the spirit of fear. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
It's Mrs. Mendoza, isn't it? David's late. You got a heavy schedule tomorrow. You better get some sleep.
I was just coming up.
You know, you're not the father of the world.
Hildy, I don't want to treat just illness and injury. I want to deal with the whole person.
I know. Well, look, if you're so worried about her, why don't we get her a guard dog? Now, tomorrow I'll
Honey.
call up and...
You're terrific. But it wouldn't work. She'll be in a wheelchair for a while. She wouldn't be able to take care of it.
Oh.
Besides, I've already made up my mind. I know what I'm going to tell her. Good morning. Mrs. Mendoza, I've given it a lot of thought,
Never mind, Dr. Metcalf. I appreciate it very much, but I've made my own decision. All my life, I've tried to live like a Christian. I've lived a long life. God has been good to me. When it comes right down to it, there's only one decision I could make. Any other would be like a slap in the face to our Savior, who has been so very good to me. I must tell the truth. I must speak out against those who would trample on the helpless, who would trample on the law. As far as the police are concerned, I want to cooperate. I have to cooperate. So, let's get it over with.
Well, I'm glad her deposition was so thorough. All my patients have good memories. Right. Right hand. Okay. Bye.
Well, I'm curious as all get out. I saw the police here at the crack of dawn. What'd you tell her to do?
I didn't tell her to do anything. During the night, she made up her own mind. I called Captain Farrell, and first thing this morning, they came. And she told them everything, and that she'd testify in court.
You know, it's very hard to tell someone else what's the right thing for them to do. I think if I were in Mrs. Mendoza's shoes, that's what I would have done. You do think she made the right decision, don't you?
Of course. That's what I would have told her to do. Yes, I think she made a decision she'll be able to live with. A right decision is one you're able to live with.
Everybody's been so nice. But 10 days is a long time. I will be glad to get home.
Well, I guess we better get you downstairs. Here you go. Dr. Metcalf is bringing the car around. Pretty deluxe service, that's all I can say.
I was a little embarrassed, the doctor offering to take me home, but he said it was right on his way. I told him I could take a cab, or if worse comes to worse, an ambulance even. But he said he was going to come by my house anyway to see that everything was okay. I didn't know doctors made house calls anymore.
They don't. It's pretty unusual. But you're a pretty unusual woman, Mrs. Mendoza. You know, I think I've learned more about being a Christian from you than from anybody I've ever met before. And you know the boy who brings in the dinner trays? You know what he said? He said, somewhere there was singing on the day Mrs. Mendoza was born.
Dr. Andrews, Dr. Shirley Andrews.
Now, you have both my home and office phone numbers. If there's anything you need, anything at all, don't hesitate to call. Promise?
I promise.
Oh, and Captain Farrell had one of his boys come out and replace that broken window pane.
Oh,
He'll be checking on you from time to time.
will you thank him for me? And Dr. Metcalf, I can't tell you how grateful I am to you for everything you've done and your hospital.
All right now. I want to hear from you every couple of days, okay? You try not to worry too much about the Perez boys.
But I do, Doctor. I think much about Julio and Tomas, so far from God. I've begun to pray for them. Perhaps God can still touch them.
Mrs. Mendoza, I feel honored to know you. Adios.
My life is in your hands, Lord. Whatever comes, I'm ready. I've been praying for you, Julio. God has taken away my fear, given me love for